Welcome to Living the Way, hosted by Pastor Charlie and Dr. Melanie Jimmerson. Step back and join us as we take a closer look at how the Bible really can and does apply to our lives today. We really do value your feedback, so write a comment and don't forget to share so your friends will be blessed as well.
Well, welcome back to Living the Way. And before Christianity was called a religion, it was known as the way. It was a way of living. It should still be. It should still be, absolutely. A way of living, believing, a way that we follow our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
And the comparative word there is follow.
Follow.
I'm real big on that.
That's right. And now this program is intended to talk about how we can live the way of Jesus.
Okay.
And that's why we call this Living the Way.
Right.
So now this segment of Living the Way was actually brought about when I saw an interview.
Did you?
Yes, I saw an interview of Shannon Bream.
Oh, yeah.
She works for, I think, Fox News.
Yeah.
And she was talking with the national co-chair of the Democratic Socialists of America. Her name is Megan Romer. Now, I listened to this interview, and I saw it. I was looking at it.
Okay.
And so what we're about to discuss, she said, yes, this is what we stand for. Now,
they're so. How can they not be ashamed of this?
Yeah. And but the thing is I've done a little more research, and we may get into that a little bit, depending on how much time we have today. That gets into all their they're proud of it. It's up on the internet. But the first thing that she said is they want to replace the president and the Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary that's chosen by and is subordinate to Congress.
Don't you just love Congress?
Yeah. Now, we can't get Congress to decide anything.
Right, exactly.
I mean, nothing. I mean, they're all the time fighting one another and everything. And but to put the president and the Supreme Court, in which they're doing away with the Supreme Court, they just call it now a judiciary. Mm-hmm. I tell you what, when they don't come out with real plans, you got to be real careful.
Yeah, because they can make it anything they want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what they're doing, and they're making it go under Congress. So now Congress is really going to have the power of the presidency. Mm-mm. Congress.
That won't work.
No. Well, that's not the way this country was set up to begin with.
Right.
Now, to the second thing they wanted to do, because, I immediately going like, well, Congress, what about the Senate? And that was the next question. And guess what? They're eliminating the Senate.
Yeah.
Just do away with it. Yeah. No more Senate. They wanted to fund the Department of War.
Okay. Well, that kind of leaves us indefensible, doesn't it?
Yes. Now we have no defense. No. They want to recognize all treaties and tribal sovereignty.
Tribal?
Yes.
Sovereignty.
Tribal sovereignty. They want to defund the Pentagon. They want to demilitarize police departments. They want to disempower the police unions and redirect all that funding to public services.
Oh, yeah. They've been talking about that for a long time.
Yeah. So, next time somebody has got a gun and is having a domestic dispute, a service worker is going to go, a civil worker is going to go in there unarmed. Right, that's going to work.
That's going to really help the situation.
But they want to, these are steps, and this is what she said. Now, when she's saying defund, I'm going like, okay, well, we've heard that for a while. But no, she said these are steps toward fully abolishing police and prison systems.
I can't wait for her to be assaulted and look around to see if she can get some help from somebody.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not a really Christian way to put it, but isn't that what needs to happen?
Yeah. Well, they want to empower civilian oversight over real authority over the police.
civilian authority hasn't taken any of the classes that the police
Nope.
have to take. They haven't gotten any of the training that they take.
Nope.
It would just be chaos.
Yes.
Just chaos.
And of course, you know this, they want to abolish borders.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, abolish borders. Give amnesty to anyone currently in the United States illegally. And of course, if they're going to do away with the borders, what are they going to abolish? ICE.
Of course.
No
Of
more
course.
ICE. They want to pass aggressive, she said, wealth taxes. Aggressive wealth taxes. Now, I'm not sure exactly what, but that don't sound good. And it says wealth taxes on the richest individuals and corporations
That's never where it goes.
to spend on public goods and infrastructure.
No. That's never where it goes.
Yeah.
Just look at Soviet Russia.
Wait a minute. Let's look right here in Texas.
Okay.
Okay? Right here in Texas, they said that they would put the toll roads in to pay for the toll roads. And as
Right.
soon as the toll roads got paid for,
Right.
they would lift the tolls.
Oh.
Are the tolls lifted?
No, they're not.
No. No, they make millions off those toll roads.
But the toll roads are not owned by Americans.
That's right. Yeah, and it's not run by, the funding and everything is by another entity.
Another entity.
Yeah.
Maybe even another nation.
Yes.
If we could get somebody to tell us the truth. So I'm not going to say who I think it is.
Yeah,
But,
and
you know,
and they want government or public ownership over most large corporations.
that just does not work.
So,
Doesn't work because nobody works at that point.
yeah, they want to prosecute U.S. and Israeli leaders responsible for what they call the genocide in Gaza.
Oh, come on, man.
Who attacked who?
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
We don't even know.
Let me tell you, when 9/11 happened,
Yeah.
we said we had every right to go in there and exact punishment and revenge on who did that. Now, so Israel doesn't have the same right as a country?
No.
They do. For us to
They
say
should.
no. Yeah, they
They
should.
should.
Yeah,
But do they? Still haven't been decided, I don't think.
right. So today we're actually, and I want everybody to realize this, I should have started with this, but we're going to compare two very different ways of thinking about government.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to think about the constitutional republic
Okay.
that was established by our founding fathers, which we have talked about
Yes,
in
we
the
have.
last couple of Living the Ways.
Yes, we have. I hope you caught those because I think they're very important to
Yes,
hear.
and you can still go back and watch them, okay? But we're going to look at the vision that's promoted by the Democratic Socialists of America, okay? That's the two that we want to look at. And you know what? That's very important because we have an election coming up. We're going to decide
99 days.
who is going to be actually steering this country where it goes and what direction it goes in.
Yeah.
And so it's important that we know what people stand for, okay?
Let's do it.
So,
So what you need to do is because you have looked at this more. I want you to take the constitutional republic, and then I'll come back and I'll argue with you about what the democratic socialism says.
okay. Now we're going to compare these, okay? I want you to notice, now these descriptions, they're not accusations. They're what is worded by
Their
the
website.
people, whoever said it, the Constitutional Republic and the Democratic Socialists of America, okay? The Constitutional Republic, rights come from God and are protected by government. Rights come from God and are protected by government. What does the DSA say about that?
Government plays a much larger role in guaranteeing economic rights.
What about every other right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about that?
What about every other right?
Protection? I don't see that word in there anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Constitutional republic is all about limited government. Limited.
And that is important to know.
Yes.
By the way, if you are an American citizen, you really need to understand what is meant by limited government, because it limits how the government can get into your life.
Yes.
But DSA says expand government authority over economic life.
Actually, it never stops there.
Oh, okay.
It's just not economic. Let me
It's
tell
everything.
you. I tell you what, you do it yourself.
Yeah.
You pull up any country that is a socialist country, and let me tell you, there's very little difference between socialism and communism. Okay, so you just look up any one, take one, look at it, and you see how they've done on rights for people. How many people have died under that regime because of what they do and all that. Just look it up for yourself. You'll find out that there has never, ever been a successful socialist, communist regime. Never.
They always disintegrate into dictatorships.
Right. Now, the constitutional republic, they believe in separation of powers. Why? Nobody ought to have supreme control. But what does DSA say?
They support significant constitutional reforms and restructuring, so that the first thing we'll see is there will be no separation of powers.
That's right, and that's what we talked about to begin with. She actually said, this is number 2 in charge, okay? She said that they're going to do away with the presidency, Supreme Court, and the Senate. They're gone. Everything's going to be under the Congress, just one
house of government. But
a little too much power.
Yeah.
That's why our founding fathers had 3. And they all check on each other.
That's what it's called.
Yes.
They're able to check on each other's powers.
Right.
Yes. They can actually put up a check on what the president wants to do. They can put up a check on what the Senate wants to do, and likewise toward the Congress. Nobody can be the bigger boss.
Right. Now, the next one, I want to talk about this before I actually say what it is,
Okay.
or before you chime in anyway.
Okay.
The Constitutional Republic, it says free enterprise, but I want to let you know what free enterprise is, because a lot of people are going like, well, that corporation makes too much money and everything. Well, you know what? Whoever is the head of that corporation put up the money to start it. Mm-hmm. They were the ones that had all the risk.
Had it all on the line.
Yes. And, if it failed, they're the ones that lost money. Now, hey, they pay people to work, gets them jobs. If you do away with corporations, where are you going to work? Yeah. If there's not free enterprise, who are you going to work for? The government. The government's going to tell you what you get, when you work, how you work. And you better not complain, because let me tell you, when you complain, you end up in what they call a concentration camp, where they reform your thinking. Yeah. So what does the DSA say?
Well, before I say
okay.
that, I want to say one thing about the free enterprise, because I come from that world. I spent all my adult life in owning my own businesses. Mm-hmm. I've owned several of them, because I was educated to be a music teacher in a public school, and I managed to get through the teacher training. But while I was in my teacher training, before I ever took a job with a independent school district, I saw how being a teacher was to be controlled as if I were was working for a communistic government. I saw that way back then when I was 20 or 21 or 22, and I saw that I could never work under that kind of regime. And you talk to teachers nowadays, they're beginning to see that is how socialism works all the way.
That's right.
So DSA says about free enterprise, let me jump back to that, supports significant constitutional reforms and restructuring. Free enterprise cannot survive and cannot thrive under constitutional reforms. If this Constitution doesn't work, free enterprise will be the first to go out the door.
Yes. Now, not only that, if you take away the public enterprise ownership, then it's the control of the government, the democratic control. So now they're the ones that's going to be telling you what to do.
I mean,
go to China and ask all those kids working in those factories making the Nike or whatever they're making over there. Ask them, how the conditions are. Okay?
And essentially, I'm sorry to come back to independent school districts, but if you really look at your independent school districts in your area, if you go to what you need to do is go to the board meetings and listen to the things that are discussed at the board meeting. Then you will wonder, what nation do I still live in? Because that's where a lot of the misery from a socialistic type of thing starts.
Mm-hmm. Now, the constitutional republic, individual liberty is emphasized. We have our rights. And remember, they're not protected by government.
No.
They're protected by God. They're given by God, protected by the government. The government ensures our rights.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's good. That's completely true, yes. However, if we lose that, if we let go of that, here's where we're going to get greater emphasis on economic equality and collective responsibility. Okay, and what that says is you're not going to own anything.
That's right.
Your neighbor is entitled to anything you're holding in your hand, on your property. Well, it won't be your property.
Yeah, you won't. But you won't. No more private property.
Your neighbor is entitled to anything you have.
You're not going to own your car. You're not going to own anything.
Yeah.
You're going to get what the government gives you. Now, it may not start that way, but that's where it ends, and that's what we got to look at. Our founders, they knew that human nature is fallen. We're fallen.
Yeah.
And power corrupts. And what's that old saying? Total power corrupts totally, or absolutely.
Absolute power.
Yeah, absolute power.
Corrupts absolutely.
Yeah. Let me tell you, no one person should possess too much power.
And the problem with power is that uncontrolled power, now we have to control it by recognition of the fact that human nature is fallen in the first place.
Right.
Power, control, it leads to chaos.
Yes.
And there's just so much to be said about that. I could talk about that for a long time because that's part of some of the philosophy of how this government was formed. Our government was formed on a lot of old Greek philosophy, and if we would go back and study that and look at what did Plato say about that, what did all the various philosophers say there? By the word philosopher means love of wisdom. I wonder how we ended up losing that. But anyway, so if we were to go back and look at what exactly we have to do in order to control power, then that's what we're looking at. What the discussion today is about.
Right.
And not just here, on TV,
Yeah.
on radio, especially if you listen to the more conservative voices, they spot it. They see it right fast, and they start hollering about it being not God's plan.
Right.
And how, what do we need to do to fight this, because it's right on our border right now.
Right. Now, guys, I want you to know the Constitution wasn't written because our founders trusted government.
No.
It was written because they didn't trust government, okay?
Right.
They did not like the government that they come from, okay?
Yeah.
Which is England, which is, a close ally. But,
Nowadays.
it's not the form, that they wanted. They don't trust the government. When the government has all the control, you have no rights, okay? Plain and simple. So let's talk about which government system best protects, and I want to get back to biblical principles, okay? Private property. Private property. Exodus 20 says, thou shalt not steal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but now wait a minute.
Exodus 20, I understand what Exodus, 2 times Exodus gives us Exodus 20.
Yeah.
And so that's a big 10.
But the thing is how can you steal something if you don't own anything?
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Yeah.
That's true.
So here you got, so which one does private property? How about personal responsibility? There is no personal responsibility in socialism. Everybody is equal. Everybody's just a bunch of robots going through doing whatever the government tells you to do.
Speaking of robots,
Mm-hmm.
just this week, a driverless car ran over somebody
Mm-hmm.
in Austin, right on that brand new tollway they have up there.
Mm-hmm.
The driverless car never saw what it hit.
Wow.
And so it had to stop because evidently the car perceived it had hit something, and so it stopped. But the car behind it didn't see it, and the car to the side of it didn't see it. And so we had a fatality because of somebody falling off their bike right in front of the driverless car.
Right.
And they perceive that they think that even though the motorcycle driver was probably gravely injured, he was not dead immediately because he was flailing his arms. Anyway, the problem with that is a driverless car is sort of like a powerless government.
You're right.
Or an all-powerful government where
it'll just run over you.
Yeah, it will just run over you.
So how about personal responsibility? 2 Thessalonians, one of my favorite verses, but you know what? This is not real popular today because it says, if anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat.
That's right, and that's something that we need to preach more of that. And it's not necessary don't let them eat, because there's ways that are ensconced that they can get something to eat.
But now the
they
thing
can't
is,
steal it. They're not supposed to steal it.
Right. But the thing is that, and there are provisions to take care of people that can't, even within the Bible.
Yes.
Yes. In fact, you look at the early church. There were certain widows that weren't being taken good care of.
Right.
And they're going like, wait a minute. And they come to the apostles and they're going like, look, we've got our position. This is what we're supposed to be doing, and it's not good for us to stop the advancement of the gospel to go wait on tables. Okay, get you some men over here. They called them deacons.
Mm-hmm, they did.
And you know what? Deacons ought to have jobs.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get these guys over here and let them make sure that those women get what they need.
Yes.
Okay? So there is provision for those that cannot, fend for themselves. But if you can, you ought to.
Yes.
You ought to.
If you're able-bodied, you don't have an excuse.
I'm of the age, that I could retire, but I don't.
Right.
You're
too able-bodied.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm
So
going
am
to
I.
work. A lot of people ask me, said, when are you going to retire? And I said, retire from what?
Let me just.
I was told that if you got a job and that doing something that you loved, you'd never work a day. Yeah. That was the wisest thing that was ever told to me when I was young.
If you love what you do, you'll never work a day.
That's right.
On the other hand, if you can still work, there's plenty of places where you could work, whether you get a paycheck for it or not.
Right, yeah.
You can still work. There's plenty of
opportunities.
Yes.
And that brings us to the next thing. How about generosity? How about generosity?
Well, generosity is a hot subject right now.
Yeah. But in Acts chapter 2, or actually it's all through Acts, the early church shared voluntarily. Nobody told them you had to. Let me tell you, in socialism, they'll tell you what you're supposed to do.
It's not a matter of generosity.
That's right.
It's a matter of you better.
But the way we are now, we can. And we can. In fact, Peter tells Ananias in, I think it's Acts chapter 5, verse 4, says the property was yours. They're giving property away. And Ananias comes in there and says, we sold it. We had this property. We sold it. We got all this money. But he didn't give it all. He lied about it. And Peter's going the property was yours.
Yeah.
Whatever you got for it was yours. You could have done with it whatever you wanted to. After selling, you could give it away or not give it away. It was you. But what you did is you lied.
But you didn't just lie to us.
That's right.
You lied to God.
He lied to God. And that was the last thing he did.
Yeah. Ever in his life.
Yeah.
And his wife the same. And rightfully so.
Right.
If you can lie to God, then your salvation is at risk.
But right now, my property is my property. Mm-hmm. And if I want to give it away, I can. But let me tell you, if this socialism takes over, it'll be government confiscation. They'll take it. They'll make it illegal. Look, now don't think, you're going like, well, Brother Charlie, you're going a little too far there. Tell them in New York City that.
Right. Yes.
Where that Mendamini is already saying that he's going to take, the houses and stuff and go like, wait a minute, you're making too much money. You poured money into that, you pay money for that, but no, I think you're making too much. No way. And of course, limited government, we've talked about that. Government exists primarily to punish evil and reward good, not become our God.
Right. Government will never be a good God.
And that's what socialism wants to become. Mm-hmm. They want you dependent on them alone. Is that what you want? Well, let me tell you, you better wake up. You better wake up, because it's important. This country has got 250 years under its belt. I don't know if we can go another 5 years if we go into socialism.
Let me just say this, if I have a minute. Just let me remind everybody, I'm sure they remember this from their historical classes in their education, and that is that Rome was actually completely undone by this one thing. They allowed foreigners, and that's what they called them, foreigners, to come in unabated into their societies, and they took over first of all, the easy ones to take over, and then they eventually took over the complete social structure, including the government.
Right.
They started taking power away from the Senate and the Congress there in Rome, and doing their own, and bringing in their own structure, and Rome was kaput within 500 years.
That's right. So, all right. Well, that brings us to the end of another segment. We didn't get but probably 2 pages done, but I hope that you understand the importance of what we're doing. We're just sounding alarm. In fact, I should have wore my other hat. I wore my redeemed hat up here. I should have put watchman on the wall hat on.
Yeah, no, that's important to know.
Because that's what we're doing here. We're watchmen on the wall. We need to sound the alarm that there is danger coming. And let me tell you, I am a proud American. Now, let me tell you, I am not an American Christian. I am a Christian that happens to be an American.
Right.
Okay? But God put me in this country, and let me tell you, I loved it. Now, it's God first. God first. Country's not even second.
Yeah.
My family is. Okay? Then the church family is, and then our government. But we have been given certain rights in this country, and we need to take advantage of them. We, the people, will determine where this country goes. So what are you going to do? It's important. I tell you what, don't lay out, especially if you're a Christian. If you lay out of this election because you don't like who's running and what's going on and everything.
You got other things to consider.
I tell you what, that's not good. The only way that evil can overcome good is for good to do nothing. Mm-hmm. Okay? Do something. Right. So the way is not just a path that you visit every once in a while. Yeah. It's a life that you got to walk each and every day.
Right.
And may we never, never be known only for just what we believe, but for how we faithfully follow Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
That's what we need to do. And Miss Melanie, or Sister Melanie.
Yes.
Where do we learn to do that?
We learn to do that at church. Church. Go to church a lot.
Go to church a lot. I love that. I love that the first time you ever said it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to end every segment with that. Go to church a lot.
There's so much to learn there. There's so much to see there. You don't have any idea unless you go every time you possibly can, because the very time that you miss, something good's going to happen.
That's right. You're going to miss.
So I don't miss much.
So on behalf of East Houston Revival Center, Sister Melanie, CB, Ronnie, Philip, and myself, keep living the way. Good night.
Bye.
God bless.
Thank you for watching, and remember, be in church tomorrow. If you don't have a home church, you really need to find one. The church needs you, and you really need the church.